Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into this week's video on the Spark Your Speaking channel. Last week we talked about the 5 do's to help you polish your public speaking skills, and today I want to talk about the 5 don'ts that you should avoid to help you succeed on your public speaking journey. For those who are tuning in for the first time, welcome. My name is Kathy Lee and I'm an international executive speaking coach, and I've helped hundreds of students in 108 different countries elevate their public speaking skills. If you want to improve your speaking and/or communication skills, remember to hit the red subscribe button below this video so you don't miss out on our weekly public speaking videos. All right, let's get started. I've compiled this list because these are the common mistakes that I've certainly made when public speaking. So if you can remember these 5 don'ts when you public speak, you are way ahead of many people. My first tip is don't use filler words. Filler words are words that we all use repetitively in our everyday speech when we're trying to think about the next thing to say. It's almost as if we are buying ourselves some time. These words can differ depending on the person, but some of the commonly used filler words are ahs and ums and so's. I think I'm a so kind of girl. Now it's okay to have filler words when you speak because that's just natural. Like I just did, I said It only becomes an issue when you have too many filler words and it's distracting to your listener. So when your audience starts to notice your filler words and they stop listening to what your messaging is, that's when it becomes a problem. The other thing is too many filler words make people feel like you are not confident and you don't know what you're talking about, which decreases your credibility. All right? Now, many of you might not even notice what your filler words are or if you have any. The easiest thing you can do to figure that out is by talking about anything for 1 minute and recording it on your phone. Okay? Just prop your phone up and hit record and have it pointed towards you, obviously. Okay? Do that exercise just once and then watch it back and see how your delivery is. And I bet you will discover many things about yourself beyond whether or not you use filler words. The next tip is don't slouch or fidget. Like this, okay? Good delivery is so important for strong public speaking skills, but it's not the only thing. You must take note of your body language as well, especially if you are presenting in front of a group of people and standing up. But even if you are sitting down like I am right now, okay, and you're presenting over Zoom or any virtual platform, it's equally important to have good body language. So what do I mean by good body language? Body language can mean your posture, right? Or what you do with your hands when you speak. These days, many of us have gotten used to slouching over. We slouch when we are on our phones. We slouch when we're working at the computer. We probably even slouch when we're watching television. What you don't want to do is slouch when you are presenting or speaking in front of a group. It doesn't matter if it's one person, like at a job interview or over Zoom, to a group of people you are presenting to. Slouching gives off the impression that you don't care, you're not confident, etc., etc. But because this is a bad habit for many people, and maybe for you, you'll have to actively think about this when you public speak. Okay, remember to pull your shoulders back and keep your head up. This is what I call my open, relaxed stance, but it looks easier than it really is. Even for me, I slouch a lot. Right now, as I'm doing this video, I am actively thinking about, sitting up straight. Again, it's easier said than done, but if you can remember to do this, it will help immensely. Now, for those of you who might fidget, this is another habit to try to stop. Okay, I'm a huge fidgeter. I fidget with my one leg all the time. And because I have this awareness of what I do, when I present, I make sure I do my best to control it as best as I can. Just remember that people make their judgment about you within 30 seconds of meeting you. So they've already determined how they feel about you without you even speaking, which is why you need to make a good impression with your body. The next tip is don't memorize word for word. Do not do this. Often my students will ask me, can't I just write down what I want to speak about and then just memorize the script? Isn't that easier? Not necessarily. If you are really confident in your memorization skills and you know that you won't make a mistake, or if you make a mistake, you're able to recover from it gracefully, then fine. But I don't recommend this strategy for any kind of presentation. And the reason being is because on the day that you present, you're going to be nervous, no matter how experienced you are with public speaking, okay? There will always be some nerves. And to have to remember every single word of your presentation is difficult enough as it is, but especially when you're under pressure, that's a lot to handle. If you make a mistake, you will have to, in your mind, backtrack to the exact sentence or word or paragraph to pick up where you left off. And oftentimes you might forget what that exact word or paragraph or sentence is, and it might throw you off even more. Sometimes you might not even recover. Even as experienced as I am in public speaking, I do not memorize my presentations or keynote speeches word for word. Instead, what I teach my students to do is to have, a short sentence or word or a few short sentences or words and have them on cue cards or on a PowerPoint that will help trigger your memory about what you are going to be talking about. And again, you can have several of these words or phrases to help you remember. For instance, if I'm speaking about, let's say, dogs, and I want to explain why good nutrition is important for dogs, maybe a key word I'll have on my presentation is balanced diet or something. And hopefully that will trigger my memory to talk about all the things under that subject. By doing this, you're not stuck to a full script and hundreds of words that you have to memorize. So this method of finding themes or words or sentences to help trigger memory is easier to digest. And if you make a mistake, you don't have to go back in your mind to the memorized script or word, right? By knowing the theme of what you're talking about, it might help your chances of remembering what you're saying and recovering better if you make a mistake. The next tip is don't panic if you make a mistake. I know, easier said than done, right? Well, let's say you're in the middle of your presentation and you mess up really bad, or at least in your mind, you feel like you've messed up really bad. Naturally, we start to panic because we feel like it's detrimental, it's colossal. And in our state of panic, we might even make the mistake even worse. I've done that. But I will say, through experience, more often than not, mistakes aren't too noticeable and you can recover quickly. But if you feel it's terrible, I want you to take a moment and breathe for a second, okay? I want you to pause and regroup. Do not try to mumble and stumble your way through without taking that pause for just a quick second, because that pause will help you collect your thoughts and your deep breaths will help calm you. You might think pausing for a second will seem awkward, but trust me, it's not. The audience will already have noticed that you made a mistake, but they'll notice it even more if you start to panic, okay? But if you give yourself a moment, don't worry, they will understand. The thing about taking that moment is that in your mind, it might feel like an eternity, when in actuality, it will only be a few seconds. So remember, don't panic, take a moment, pause, and breathe. The final tip is do not strive for perfection. I remind my students that public speaking is a marathon, not a sprint, and that marathon might not always go as smoothly as you'd like. Your journey to better public speaking will no doubt have highs and lows and plateaus, and it's important to just embrace it, but keep moving forward. That's the key. Don't give up when things get tough, all right? I've been public speaking for more than a decade on TV and in front of thousands of people as a keynote speaker and MC. After all the experience I've had, you'd think I've perfected this craft, but that's the furthest thing from reality. What really happens sometimes is that you have your good days and you have your bad days, and some days you will ace a skill you've been practicing for a long time and you'll get really good at it and consistent, and then suddenly one day you might flop and you can't execute the skills that you normally have been. I know this can become so frustrating, and sometimes you might feel like quitting And sometimes some people do, which is unfortunate because they never really get to find out or realize their true potential, and it happens all the time. So I advise my students to exercise a bit of patience and be kind to themselves and not strive for perfection. When you are delivering a presentation or speaking in front of a group, don't think of it as an all or none kind of deal. What I mean is, for instance, the thinking that I'm only going to consider this a success if I nail the entire thing perfectly, front to back. No. That kind of thinking is only going to give you more anxiety and set you up to fail if you happen to make a small mistake. Instead, find other ways to define success. That could be, if I can get through this presentation without throwing up, maybe that's success. Or if I can execute this presentation making fewer mistakes than last time, maybe that's success. Or if I make my audience laugh or think hard about something or learn something, maybe that's success. So reframing your mind about success and not obsessing about perfection will definitely push you to keep at it and help you deal with faults a bit better. That's all for today, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in. Just to recap, my 5 don'ts for public speaking for beginners are: don't use filler words, don't memorize, don't slouch or fidget, don't panic, and don't strive for perfection. If you liked this video and found it helpful, remember to hit the like button below and share it so others can benefit as well. If you have any questions or topic ideas, feel free to leave a comment below. And if you would like to learn more about the other public speaking programs I offer, hit the link above to go to my website, sparkyourspeaking.com. See you next week.